What is up, you guys? Marty McFly coming at you, bringing you guys the merch. So today is a very special and interesting day for the Headbangers Ballroom channel. One of them being that I passed 230 subscribers on this channel. That's pretty rad, man. I mean, at least for this tiny little channel, I know I don't edit my videos, I don't make them fancy and pretty, but I just like to talk about heavy music and maybe some things on the side. But it's pretty cool to see I got, more than 230 subs, so that made my day. But today's day is also special for another reason. So this band, well-known band, basically announced a record that came out today but didn't technically come out today. Either way, we have it, even though it didn't technically come out today. What they did was they put out 2 new tracks, and they're doing listening parties at record stores all across the country. And the point of that was to get people into the record stores, get them to enjoy the record. But the side bonus, other than just hearing the album early, is you get to buy the album before it's in stores, before it's on Spotify, blah, blah, blah. So if you can run to your nearest record store, see where it's playing at, see if they have any copies left. That's what I did. I found out, I finished up work, I made sure everything was tucked in for the day, and I rushed to my newest record store. A record store pretty far from me, but I'd never been there before, so I was like, let's take a drive, let's try and find it. So I went to Rust and Wax Records in West Palm Beach, and they had the newest album from the bizarrely wonderful but strange, and already having released a Saint Anger-ish record in their repertoire, the pop-punk, metalcore, hardcore crossover band, A Day to Remember. This is the Big Ol' Album Volume 1. Their newest record that came out today but didn't technically come out today. It's not supposed to come out for a couple more weeks well into the month of March, but what they did with these record stores is they gave them a bunch of copies, and they gave them an indie merch store exclusive, not to be confused with the indie merch website, but basically indie record edition. Comes on this really wild green and yellow splatter vinyl. Love this. I've already played it. It sounds great. The quality of the record itself is actually very, very good. I would say it's more of an audiophile edition. It's not 180 gram or anything like that, but I think it sounds great, especially for like exactly what it is. It's a pop punk, hardcore crossover band, and I think the record itself sounds great. And of course, the custom inner sleeves. They don't have their previous member in the band anymore, but they still sound great. Now, the interesting thing about this album, I was really, really looking forward to this, and this is a non-BS review of this record, because when I found out this was finally coming out, I was very excited, and I was like, I can't wait to hear what the rest of the songs sound like, because so far, so good. Miracle, I really enjoyed. Feedback, I can take it or leave it. It's basically like, now that they're on Fueled by Ramen, I feel like they're always going to have songs that are just kind of like, I don't know, radio pop, whatever you want to call it. They're always going to have those songs now where they're not really diving into their roots as much as they used to. But I will say, like, once I was done with feedback, I'm like, all right, I get it, A Day to Remember, you hate your fans, you don't like anyone telling you that the album You're Welcome absolutely sucks because it was a terrible album. Sorry, guys, if you liked You're Welcome, I'm happy for you. I wish I enjoyed it more because it'd give me more tunes to listen to. I'd say there's a couple songs I'm like, all right, cool, that was really enjoyable. And then the rest of the album, I really just, no. You're Welcome was terrible. I hated that album. And most of my friends did too. Most of the people that are like, diehard A Day to Remember fans really just didn't enjoy it. I feel like part of the album too was kind of like a screw the fans type of album, and if that's just the vibe I got, maybe I misinterpreted the way they wrote those songs, but it really felt like a screw you fans type of record. Every band is entitled to their Saint Anger, as it were, or any number of bands that have released that one album that everybody hates. And I feel like it's no different with them. Like, You're Welcome was basically that record for me. Loved Common Courtesy. I really enjoyed, like, Bad Vibrations, which is very stick to your gunsy, but You're Welcome, Fueled by Ramen, just not a great album. Very heavy on the electronics. The melodies, it didn't seem like they cared, like, about the melodies at all. They're like, hey, let's just put something that we can put on the radio that Katy Perry can sing along to. This album, it's a step up. It's a step up. I would say this is much more enjoyable than You're Welcome. I'm glad I got it. It's really cool to have something before it's even technically supposed to come out. But, we got the classic Eagle on there. But I'd say it's a fun record, man. They have some tracks on here that feel very bubblegum pop, whatever you want to call it. Kind of reminiscent of You're Welcome, but maybe not as, like, just whatever that was. But I feel like they fixed some of those things. There's still some more electronics in here. And there's even a song that's kind of reminiscent of the song they did with Marshmello, Rescue Me. But I would say just as good as Rescue Me is still a very, very good song. But I would say this album is a great step up from You're Welcome. If you hated You're Welcome, but you liked everything else they did, this is a great step up. And you can tell this is one of those records where they borrowed a lot of ideas from other bands, and it feels that way. Like, you know, pop punk recycles and borrows things, but it's like a guilty pleasure. You love it regardless. I feel like this band has borrowed a few things from other bands, which is interesting. I feel like they borrowed a little bit of maybe of like modern day Architects, and then if you go to the song Silence, I was a little perturbed at the beginning of it because it just sounded like another electronica pop punk like, I don't know, Brit pop, whatever you want to call it, and not good Brit pop. I'm not talking about like Sleigh Bells, which is actually amazing, but I would say with Silence, they jump into this groove, and it's like straight up Gojira, like groove metal worship, and those are another one of those moments where I'm like, all right, so they borrowed a little bit from other bands, but I really enjoyed what they did with Silence because that was just like a straight up Gojira worship. I love the publicity that Gojira is getting right now. Granted, did I like Gojira's last album? No. That was kind of like their tribal attempt of borrowing at roots from Sepultura. But I will say the song Silence is fantastic. Really gave me a lot of hope in the record. Overall, it's fun. It's a fun 12-song album. I'm glad they came out with it. It kind of gave me a little bit of more vigor and faith in A Day to Remember what they can do. I just thought it was peculiar when it took them forever to release You're Welcome, and then we got a piling heap of dog shit. And minus a couple songs I really enjoyed on there, but for the most part, the album to me, I just don't enjoy it. I can't listen to it, and I tried, just didn't really feel anything with it. I just got nothing out of that album for the most part. I didn't get any feelings. I mean, I just got electronic pop crossover, whatever you want to call it. This, just starting right from the beginning, make it make sense, straight up, like good old fashioned A Day to Remember. Reminds me a lot of Bad Vibrations era A Day to Remember. There's still a little bit of like electronic. They're starting to do some crossover with like maybe a little bit of hippity hoppity, you know, if you know what I mean. But fantastic feedback, kind of like whatever. You either like it or you don't. It's something that they're gonna play live. They're gonna play on the radio. To me, it's kind of a throwaway song. I can play it and it doesn't bother me, but it's not my favorite. Bad Blood was great, but I think a lot of the other songs, To the Death, there's a lot of good stuff on here. LeBron, I can't believe they called the song called LeBron. Just listen to the lyrics when you get a chance and then just realize what that song's about. But I can't believe they call this song LeBron. But anyway, I think there's a lot of good stuff on here. Miracle's fantastic. It's been out for a long time, but I think Miracle was a good return to form for A Day to Remember. I'd say the breakdowns are slower. They're tuned down more. They're not as like jumpy rhythm, speed, the way they used to do on like Homesick, where the breakdowns are a lot more upbeat, a little bit faster with tempo. I'd say these are really tuned down. You know, tune low, die slow, Acacia Strain almost sounding breakdowns, which is fine. Made me happy. And then I'd say the melodies are a lot better written than they are in You're Welcome. There's a lot of good melodies that make you feel good, and I think this is what we love about A Day to Remember. The backing vocals all sound great. There's a couple of tracks in here that borrow like children's choir vocals for the gang vocals as well. And then there's some straight up good old-fashioned gang vocals, which I miss in heavy metal these days. You know, when bands like Becoming the Archetype used to do them, and Machine Head, and a lot of bands used to do really good gang vocals. And honestly, one of my favorite bands of all time for gang vocals was Sleeping Giant. Rest in peace, Sleeping Giant. And by the way, some of those guys wanted to join Holy Name. If you haven't listened to Holy Name, listen to them, because they got gang vocals and they're fantastic. But I would say bringing back the gang vocals really, really made me happy and invigorated me about this record. So, you know, big ol' album, Volume 1. I think that means we're going to get a Volume 2. Otherwise, why would you call it Volume 1 unless if you don't just to drive all your fans nuts? There's a really big, just, of people on this. You can start picking out some people. Whitechapel, respect. There's a lot of people on here. You could basically just start naming people. It's pretty rad the way they did this. And then, of course, 4-piece, but here's the inside of the cover. I actually got a chance to meet all these guys way, way back when they closed the show for August Burns Red and Silverstein. This is going back to 08. But I remember they were out in Ybor City just hanging on the side of the bus. I got to meet all of them except for Jeremy. They said Jeremy was out in the shower banging his girlfriend, which is cool. Respect. But the rest of the guys were pretty rad just to hang out with, and they treated me like family. Like we were just drinking rum and cokes and hanging out. So it was pretty cool getting to meet them. So especially for a band that came from Ocala and just became this huge sensation. It's pretty rad to see what they've done. Like I said, they have one bad album. That's okay. I didn't enjoy it. Some other people liked it, so I guess that's something. But yeah, You're Welcome was just oof. It was just I didn't enjoy it. There's just so many better records out there you can listen to. But overall, I'm really glad to hear this and play this. It really is a fun record. I hope they had fun making it, and I really hope they enjoyed it. I hope they don't, they're not too like bummed out or have too many chips on their shoulders, because it's a fun record. I hope they enjoyed making it. I hope they enjoyed making it for the fans, and maybe one day I'll get to go see them. I haven't seen A Day to Remember in like 6 or 7 years, so it'd be cool to get to go see them again. Of course, this comes with a slip mat, which is even cool. So it's like a little piece of history to go down with this record. And yeah, so big ol' album, Volume 1. Hopefully that means we're gonna get a Volume 2. We'll see what's in place for this band. I'm excited. Like I said, the album's a lot of fun, so if you haven't played it, find a way. Maybe go to your nearest record store. I went to Rust and Wax Records in West Palm. Respect. Daddy Cool Records over in St. Petersburg. And then you got Park Avenue Records over in Orlando, Florida. Respect. Great record stores. The guys that own those places are amazing. Really good people. And I've gotten to meet bands because of these record stores, so it's really cool. And that's it for me, guys. I got a bunch of stuff coming up. I even got a little surprisey poo here from a little known band known as Mudhoney, signed 7-inch, came out in 1990. So I got some stuff coming up for you guys, but that's it for right now. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are taking care of each other. Peace.